When nature snaps, extreme weather is any weather that's significantly different from what a place is used to. We're talking about heat waves that bake the earth for weeks, fires that turn landscapes into infernos, droughts that parch the land, and superstorms that deluge entire regions in water or wind. In other words, this is about the planet's most powerful forces of destruction. These events can have devastating consequences for people's lives, homes, farms, and even survival. And in recent years, we've seen more of them happen more often around the world. So we wanted to understand what's going on, why things are getting worse, and how we might navigate this new reality. Australia fires, China floods, US heat domes, all in the space of a few years. These extremes are among the first headlines we found when researching this topic. Australia was battling thousands of fires across the country in early 2022. Satellite images showed the smoke covering a huge area of the continent. But back then, some outlets were also reporting on the devastating floods that were affecting millions of people in China. At the same time, videos from Turkey showed snow-capped mountains melting under record heat. And at the end of July 2021, an atmospheric river dumped more than 2 years' worth of rain on the region in just a few days. The result was catastrophic. More than 50 people died and dozens more went missing. In the United States, dozens of cities have been suffering through repeated heat domes throughout the summer of 2022. Tens of millions of people experienced temperatures over 40 degrees Celsius for days. Then in July, more extreme heat hit, breaking daily temperature records in some areas. And when we started putting together this episode, which began with the worst heat wave in India's history, we didn't know that the country would soon be suffering through another one. This latest intense heat lasted from late March to early April, affecting more than 1 billion people across 18 states. The Indian Meteorological Department said it was the hottest March since the beginning of the 1901 weather record. All of these examples could be added to a long list of similar events that have been occurring worldwide in recent years. Flooding in Germany, Hurricane Ida, which caused catastrophic damage in Louisiana. Wildfires in Greece, a historic drought in Argentina. The number of extreme weather events has multiplied in the past decade, and scientists predict that this trend will only get worse. But before we dive deeper, let's step back for a second and ask, why do we care? Why should we pay attention to changes in temperature or rainfall? It's because our world is built on a delicate balance of nature and humanity. Every city, farm, and business relies on the environment to thrive. When that balance tips, people suffer. Consider this, coffee lovers. If it doesn't rain enough in Brazil, your morning cuppa might not taste the same. If it rains too much in Bangladesh, millions of people face displacement and hunger. Floods in Pakistan, droughts in China, storms in Europe, heat waves in India. There's a lot happening out there, and it's having an impact on all of us. So what's driving these changes? In short, our changing climate. But don't go blaming yourself yet. Changes in average global temperatures are due to increases in greenhouse gas emissions, which started after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. Human activities like burning fossil fuels and deforestation have altered the way our atmosphere and oceans function. This has led to an increase in global average temperatures and more extreme weather events. One of the main factors influencing these changes is the jet stream. You know, those lines you see on airplane flight routes. That's the jet stream, a band of strong winds about 11 kilometers above the Earth's surface. It circles the globe from west to east, driven by differences in temperature between the equator and the poles. The greater the temperature difference, the stronger the jet stream. But the gap between hot and cold regions is shrinking, slowing down the jet stream and making it more wavy. This means that weather patterns stay in one place for longer, dumping huge amounts of rain in one place and causing droughts in another. Another key factor is the amount of heat stored in the oceans. Since the 1950s, the ocean has absorbed around 90% of excess heat caused by greenhouse gas emissions. More heat in the ocean means higher sea levels and warmer surface waters, which leads to more powerful storms and less snow and ice in the Arctic, which in turn affects weather patterns. And then there's El Niño, a band of warm ocean water that appears in the eastern Pacific Ocean every few years. It happens when trade winds weaken or reverse direction, allowing warm water from the western Pacific to flow eastward. El Niño disrupts the normal circulation of ocean currents, affecting temperature and precipitation around the globe. During an El Niño year, for example, the central and eastern Pacific tend to experience more rainfall and warmer than average temperatures, while the western Pacific tends to be drier than usual. And right now the world is experiencing a strong El Niño event. All of these factors combined are creating the perfect storm for extreme weather. It's important to note that humans aren't solely responsible for these events. Natural variability plays a part, too, but human-driven climate change is making them worse. The consequences of extreme weather has a direct impact on people's lives. Heat waves can lead to dehydration and heat stroke. Floods can cause injuries, displacement, and even drownings. Storms and fires can damage property and destroy entire communities. Crops can fail due to droughts, leading to food shortages and economic losses. In fact, research shows that a 1 degree Celsius increase in average temperature reduces agricultural productivity by 2% globally and between 7 and 15% in some regions. Wildfires can also have serious impacts on people's health, both physically and mentally. Smoke and gases released from burning buildings and debris contain toxic chemicals that can cause respiratory problems, heart attacks, and even cancer. On top of that, they can trigger mental health issues such as post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. And the effects of extreme weather are felt most acutely by those who have less resources to cope. Developing countries and urban poor communities are often disproportionately women, children, and older people who may face additional challenges such as limited access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. They're also less likely to have insurance to cover damages to their homes or businesses. A 2021 report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, found that although climate risks affect everyone, their impact is more severe for people in the global south. The poorest populations are 8 times more likely to die in extreme weather events than those in richer nations. So what can we do about it? Well, the answer lies in 3 interconnected areas. First, policy. Governments and international organizations need to work together to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and limit global warming. This includes transitioning to renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and protecting and restoring natural ecosystems. Second, technology. We need to develop innovative solutions to prevent and mitigate the impacts of extreme weather. This includes early warning systems for extreme weather events, drought-resistant crops, and flood defenses. Third, adaptation. We need to help vulnerable communities adapt to the impacts of extreme weather that are already happening. This includes providing financial assistance, building resilient infrastructure, and educating people about how to prepare for and respond to extreme weather events. At the end of the day, we all have a role to play. Individuals can make changes to their own behavior, such as reducing their carbon footprint and supporting businesses that are taking action on climate change. Businesses can invest in sustainability and innovation, while communities can come together to build resilience. You might think all of this sounds pretty overwhelming, but it's not as distant as you think. This isn't the future. It's already here. Just look around you. Flooded house in Pakistan, burning forests in Greece, baked fields in Argentina. These aren't images from some dystopian movie. They're headlines from today's news. Thanks for watching. Follow us for more.